You're good? You're good. Well, good morning, Queensland. What a beautiful Sunday it is, and I can report very good news. We have 0 new cases in the last 24 hours, which leaves us at 14 active cases in Queensland. We had 6,588 tests, so please keep coming out and getting tested if you have any symptoms whatsoever. And we had 23,383 vaccinations yesterday through Queensland Health facilities. That is incredible for a Saturday, and we're so thrilled that so many people have come out. And I'm here at Dakabin State High School today with Dr. Peter Aitken, and of course people are already starting to come in from 8:30 this morning and starting to get their vaccinations. We had such a good rollout at our schools yesterday. Over 58% of those people who came out and got vaccinated at our schools yesterday were people coming forward for their first dose. So that is really exciting. Now, I know everyone wants to know the percentages. So our percentages sit at 81.66% first doses, which has been an incredible jump. We've had a 4% increase in 2 weeks, and we are now at 69.94%. So we are so close that I have no doubt the Premier will be able to stand up tomorrow with that great news about the 70%. And of course, these figures are off the national database and do not include yesterday's vaccination numbers. So we know, Queenslanders, you are kicking this out of the park, but this 70% target is just the start. We are absolutely on our way to not just meeting our 80% target as well, but getting to that 90% target. And certainly we are well on our way to seeing 90% of eligible Queenslanders having their first dose before Christmas. So please keep coming out. There are lots of vaccination centres open today, including many schools. People I've been talking to here today, they just looked up online where was their closest site and found that it was the school here, and they've popped down to get vaccinated. You can pop along to community pharmacies. You can also book into your GPs. There'll be a lot of people out shopping in the lead up to Christmas. There's a lot of places where you can go to a GP or a community pharmacy in your local shopping centres. So there is no reason to delay coming out and getting vaccinated. Well done, Queensland. Of course, we are reminding people, no matter where you live in Queensland, if you have any symptoms whatsoever, please come forward to get tested. That message on the Gold Coast is still the same. Please be very aware of your surroundings. Please wear that mask anywhere where you can't social distance, and keep coming out and getting tested. And also on the Gold Coast and everywhere in Queensland, particularly our big tourism spots, get your vaccination rates up. We want to see them as high as possible before we have people wanting to holiday all over this great state. Thanks, Queensland.
Thank you, Minister. And as you've heard, 0 new cases today, which is absolutely amazing news, particularly at the Gold Coast, and given our concerns there. What we do ask, though, is the testing numbers have dropped off a little bit at Gold Coast. We do need all people at Gold Coast who've got symptoms to come forward and get tested, because we need to keep testing those people that may have been exposed in the community and find any cases so we can act on that. The good news, though, is that the vaccination numbers, we will get 70% tomorrow. But what I'm actually really excited about is the movement towards beyond 80%, towards 90%. I said recently we're inching towards 80% first doses. With 3 days of 17,000, a day of 23,000, we are now charging towards 90% first dose. Can only ask Queenslanders to keep doing that. We're relying on you to come forward and get vaccinated. And if we can get to 90% first dose, we know we can get 90% second dose. So please come forward. If you're in the Gold Coast and you're symptomatic, get tested. The rest of Queensland, same message, but increasingly, please get vaccinated. Thank you.
Oh, look, the Premier will stand up and talk to what that means for returning Queenslanders and also people who are seeking to relocate or come visit friends and loved ones in Queensland tomorrow when we hit that 70% mark. But I do want to thank Queenslanders for coming out in really good numbers, getting vaccinated, coming forward and getting their second vaccination when it is due. Don't delay that second vaccination, come out as soon as you are due. And they've done such a great job, but we know we can get well beyond that. And the fact that we're doing so well, we're already past 80% first doses, we can definitely get to that 90%, and we can get to that 90% first doses before Christmas if Queenslanders keep coming out. Sure.
Number happened today.
Yes.
Is it going to be like the doors are thrown open? Can you explain?
Yeah. Look, what I said yesterday remains the case that when we can announce that we have hit 70% double dose, there will be a process and a lead-in time so that the Queensland Police Service and our enforcement officers can make sure that everything is in place. So when people are arriving at the airports, we're able to be checking people, that people can go online, they can get their border pass issued. But as I said yesterday, all that will start happening over the next few days, and the Premier will outline that in detail tomorrow. But people can start planning now. And getting ready, having a look at the criteria. The most important thing is people looking at the criteria to see if they are eligible to fly into Queensland and to home quarantine. If you are eligible, you can start putting things in place about making sure you're fully vaccinated and you've checked all those boxes so that when the system does go live, you'll be able to get that border pass and get on that plane as quickly as possible. Well, people won't be able to because the border pass system currently doesn't allow for home quarantine. So if you were to go online now and get a border pass, it would require you to go into hotel quarantine if you're eligible. So that new system of home quarantining won't go live until after we officially hit that 70% mark.
And the new border pass,
Sure.
how is it going to work with making sure that people have met all those requirements? Is that going to be something they have to declare when applying for that border pass?
Yes.
Is going to be wanted by health
Yes.
staff or police at the airport?
Yes. So what I said yesterday is there will be multiple checking steps along the way. So when people apply online, they have to check a lot of boxes, and the border pass will not be issued unless they have answered the relevant questions in the correct way to make them eligible, and they've uploaded the information that is required of them, which includes their vaccination status and their negative test. Once we'll be able to check that data at any point. Also, when people arrive at airports, they will be able to be checked by police or other enforcement officers to check that they are compliant. And of course, every one of those people will be going into home quarantine, and we have a great home quarantine management system, a system that we have had operating for more than 12 months now, 16 months, and has recently been improved with our check-in system. So we will be able to check that people are staying in the residence in which they're required to quarantine and they are complying. So there are multiple ways in which we can continue to audit to make sure people are complying.
Do you think a lot of people will take up to sort of 70%, or do you think the majority of those people that have been waiting to get to
Look, it's hard to know. There's certainly many people who have homes here in Queensland who I'm sure are ready and willing to fly back as soon as they can, and don't want to wait another 4 weeks. So I suspect that we will see lots and lots of people coming back into Queensland, but inevitably we will see some people who choose to wait. Of course, those people who are interstate wanting to come to Queensland by road will have to wait until the 80% mark, but I suspect we'll get lots of people flying back.
The New South Wales government is chasing Queenslanders for tens of millions of dollars in unpaid quarantine, hotel quarantine fees during that period when Queensland reduced its number of international arrivals and they also had to go to New South Wales. What would you say to the Queenslanders who are paying those fees?
Oh, look, we've had plenty of people who live elsewhere around Australia who have come and quarantined in Brisbane. The people who are flying in internationally are not flying directly into those states where they live. They're flying into whatever jurisdiction they can get flights to, and also to hotel quarantines. So we've all been taking people from around the country. We've had a number of people who have flown, who live in Sydney, who have flown out of Sydney during the pandemic and then flown back into Brisbane that we've had to manage. And in fact, some of those people have ended up positive, and we've managed them in our health system as well as our hotel quarantine system. So we've all been, doing our fair share and carrying our weight. And anyone who has outstanding bills when it comes to hotel quarantine, they should pay it. I believe that's roughly the figure, yeah.
And just in regards to home quarantine, for those people who live in apartments, modern ones that don't have a fully ventilated common walkway, what's the option for them?
They will need to wait until we get to that 80%. There's just too great a risk. We know that with hotel quarantine. You think of the measures we've had to put in place for hotel quarantine, the very, very strict measures and the COVID safe plans to try to avoid transmission, and we've still had transmission through doors opening and so forth. So we can't allow people who live in apartment blocks with common corridors and common areas to just go into those areas without those sort of very strict measures in place. So it's just a risk we can't take right now until we get to that 80% mark.
For those people coming in, how are they going to prove that their home quarantine situation is adequate?
Because they have to tick all the boxes as part of their border pass. Their border pass will ask them all the relevant questions about whether they have a standalone residence or a residence where they can directly access air to the door without sharing common areas. They will be able to confirm whether that is their residence, and of course police can do random checks and audits to ensure that people are complying with those restrictions. It is really important. I have no doubt Queenslanders are going to do the right thing. They know how important it is. They know how important it is to stay home and quarantine. We've had such a high rate of compliance since the start of this pandemic. I'm very confident that the majority of Queenslanders will do the right thing.
And just finally, do you expect that to put on a lot of extra staff, particularly policing, but with the massive influx of people?
Look, I'll leave it to the Premier and the police to talk about just the logistics around all of that. But this is important. This is really, we've got to get this right. We've got to do it in a safe, responsible way. We know this will increase the risk for Queenslanders. We know the risk will increase at that 70% mark and that 80% mark, but it is a responsible way of doing it, and we look forward to be able to announce that milestone.
And just finally, I understand with your daily checks, it's some sort of text message you have to respond within 10 minutes is geolocated to ensure that
Yes.
it's actually there. Do you have any concerns about that person giving that phone to someone else in their family to click on it and they can go out?
Oh, look, again, there's measures in place. If there is any concerns whatsoever that compliance isn't being met, it can be reported to the police, and the police can go and do a check at that person's door. But we've had tens of thousands of people home quarantining, and we have not had transmission or outbreaks as a consequence, because Queenslanders understand the importance of it, and Queenslanders have been doing the right thing. So I'm confident they'll continue to do that.
Anyway, what particular concerns were you asking about?
She mentioned last week that there were reservations about it and what modelling is really about revenue.
Look, I think there's two parts to it. The Doherty modelling is very much at a national level, plus broad stroke jurisdiction predictions. And our task now is to take that and look at that and apply it to the broader Queensland context, but more specifically different locations in Queensland and what that means. And we also have to remember that New South Wales and Victoria have already reached 80% double vaccinated. Queensland is getting closer and closer to that, and it's how we interpret that and apply that and continue to learn from what's happened in New South Wales and Victoria, and we're in a wonderful position to be able to do that safely.
Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely Sunday. We can if you want.
Yeah.